Hello everyone. Welcome to yet another episode of PhD the Philosophical Drama Season 4. Till more people join this live tonight, I would like to take this time and thank you all for joining tonight, and also for showing so much love and support that you have been showering us with for the past couple of months. Your support, your love has helped us reach 450 followers on Instagram, and thank you so much for doing that. And keep supporting us, keep sharing our content so that we can reach more and more people with our stories. So, tonight we have a very special guest with us. He has done his PhD from Tata Institute of Fundamental Research, Mumbai, and he has also been a visiting fellow of Weizmann Institute of Science, Israel. Apart from his PhD, very interestingly, he has been a content creator throughout his PhD, and his YouTube channel, Animated Biology with Arpan, has a whopping 1.72 lakh subscribers. So, yeah, apart from doing his science, his PhD, he has been consistently spreading science, biology to all the people through his art and animation. So, without further ado, let's just add Arpan to.
Hello.
Hello, Arpan. Can you hear me properly? All good?
Yes, I can hear you. Can
Yeah.
you hear me?
Yes, yes. Perfect.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
hello, and thank you for being up for doing this with
Mhm.
us today. And
Yeah.
yeah, so I
Thanks
would like
for
to,
inviting me.
yeah, we are glad. We are glad to have a YouTube content creator celebrity with us tonight, who's also a PhD. So we are very interested to hear your story. So I would just shoot my questions. So starting with,
Mhm.
what has been the main motivation behind you pursuing science and PhD in general? So tell us a bit about that.
So overall, I was interested in biology, but I was also like little bit skeptical about the way biology is taught to us in undergrads. So from that, I basically started looking for internship in early days and found one. So then I got some exposure about how things are really done experimentally. So from that time, uh, I fell in love with the experimentations, microscopy, all those parts. So that was the primary motivation.
Right. So, yeah, so now I think you had done your master's from TIFR itself, but
Hmm.
then, like, so when you started off with your, I think you had an integrated PhD, right?
Yes.
Yes, so were you sure about PhD when you started off, or how was it like?
No, I was actually a MSc student in
Okay.
TIFR. So I was not sure about doing the PhD from TIFR. So, but eventually the road took me towards that journey. So it was a different road, kind of off-roading and many things. I was working on a different project initially, then I changed to some other field. So this is how I ended up in PhD.
Right. And then how did this whole uh, animated biology with Orphan happen? Like, tell us your story behind this.
So it's an interesting story which is already there in my YouTube, but let me tell this story again. So it was 2016, and three of my friends, along with me, came here in TIFR. So at that particular point of time, the YouTube channel didn't exist. So I was thinking, okay, I was like, I had a passion for teaching and everything, but I never thought I would do it in YouTube. So when I landed in Mumbai, I got the biggest shock of my life, especially the rent and everything. That time we had to stay outside the campus because they don't provide the housing. But affording that housing, it was almost near impossible at that point of time. So I was thinking, okay, how I can get some income outside the stipend that we used to get, which was less at that time. So that was the genesis of the channel. Initially, I started with just a stick. I used to have a Lumia phone. So I used some rubber bands on the stick to hold those phones and draw with my hands. Then what happens is like I could not do it for long. Money was not coming, and all of these things are happening. Initially I had few of the videos. I was not really confident about the overall creation part and all. But eventually, then I started really seriously when I went to Israel. So I met few people there. They have startup mindset. They have ideas how to manage time. So in that was an eye opener to start it in a completely new way. So from 2019, the channel started growing, and now it's where it is.
Yeah. Yeah. So, as you said, like you had learned a little bit about managing time, but then again, like doing a PhD, all of us know like how much time consuming and intensive it is. So, like, tell us a bit about how exactly you managed your time, like with doing research and also doing this alongside.
Yeah, this is something that I specially applied on my PhD journey. Initially I used to think that okay, the more time I put on my research, it would give me the proportional outcome, and believe me, it never happened. So after 1.5 years, I was burned out, like burned out till the end. I became charcoal. So then what happened? Basically, so each small failures of my experiment started becoming my own personal life failures. So that's how I started seeing it initially. Then I changed my game plan. Then what I did is basically, okay, I had to detach myself from this failure wala thing. And then I thought of like, okay, anything that can give me small packets of success, I would choose that. In YouTube, what happens is like, okay, somebody is watching your video from different places. Initially, not many people used to see. Now, after a point of time, after 2 and 3 years, I saw, okay, there are many viewers, many listeners from throughout the world, and at least they give some comments. Okay, it was useful. My professors didn't explain it very well. Your videos helped me. So these kind of small packet of joy was very motivating for me. So it was very reinforcing for me to like, okay, get more of that. So now I can counterbalance my experimental failure with these small packets of joy. So that's how I started, and you keep that cycle going, and the later process was smooth. But initially, it was a pretty jerky.
Yes, because it would take up, like, I've seen your videos and it's a lot of work to make each and every one of those videos. And
Yeah.
I'm sure it would take up a lot of your time. So how did you, like, would you, like, do this over the weekends or, like, I mean, how did you space out your work and especially after your channel grew? So once you have more and more people joining you, you have more demand. So, like, how did you cope with all of that? Because I understand that you take up all these, use this as a channel to, like not get depressed or like suppressed about your negative results in the lab. But the amount of time, like, how much of
Yeah.
overnight trust did you pull for doing this? Like,
Yeah, this was I mean, the time investment was huge. It is still huge because
yes.
like each of these videos are very well annotated. All the animations has to be proper, all the contents has to be proper, double checked, the script has to be written properly. Coming from a vernacular medium, I could not speak English at the beginning, so that was another big challenge for me. So all these things takes I mean, it takes a lot of time, but see it in this way, like if I can manage that time efficiently, that also helps me to in general help me to like manage my time better. So I know that, okay, each day I would do, let's say, 1 or 2 slides. So I have a story in my mind, and just like any other content creators, I just write down the story. Not exactly like a story, but kind of like a mind map. Okay, so this comes after this, and this is kind of like a sequence. So once you have a sequence, you start building upon the elements of those sequence, and eventually you shape up a story. So this is how every story shapes up over kind of, let's say, a week or 2 weeks. But the joy is in the process of making those videos. You also get to learn many new things while making those videos. New literature, new stories, so etc. These really give me a lot of joy in terms of making those content.
Yeah, so from your story, it seems like you have been self-taught. So, like how, because it requires a whole different set of skills to do this kind of work, and the training that we have generally, like given our science background, it's very different from what you obviously need the information, but then presenting it and doing this whole thing requires a whole different set of skills. So, how did you learn these and get all these information and tell us a bit about that.
Yeah. So fortunately and surprisingly, I came across two important people. One is the director of HBCSC TIFR, who gave a nice talk. Uh, so he's Arnab, and he gave a nice talk on how not to give a bad presentation. So he framed it like this, like, okay, how to give a bad presentation. By understanding how to give a bad presentation, one can improvise on that. So that was one of the eye opener. I learned many tactics from that talk. Also, on a day-to-day basis, in our lab meets, my PhD guide pretty much tells us and kind of like primes us in terms of like how exactly we can improvise our story or making things more coherent, etc. So that was another added bonus to us.
Right.
So
Yeah. So
then once it started, like after, then you see people, okay, some people talking in conferences, maybe TED Talks, and some of them are really good. It catch your attention, it retains your attention. So then you understand the nuts and bolts of those conversations and try to try to incorporate that in your own content.
right. So I'm sure that when you start off something like this, and as I already said, the amount of demands we have from a PhD, did you face any sort of resistance in some way, and how did you take it in your stride and cope up with? I'm sure that it because of the entire amount of time that you have to invest,
Yeah.
I'm sure you must have faced some sorts of resistances from somewhere. Like, so how did you cope up with that and keep doing it?
So basically, it's a typical Indian mentality. Like if you try to do something hatke during your PhD, and anybody would say that, okay, would you be able to manage your time? That's the first question which comes in everybody's mind. So be it a PhD advisor, be it a PhD student, both sides there was a question that, from my side, the question was, okay, I have started something. Can I do it consistently? So that was one of the challenge. Also, from the other side, initially my guide was thinking that, okay, whether I can do it, and manage all the experiments together. But after a point of time when I started managing all of those things, now I don't find any resistance. I find more support than any kind of resistance. So yeah, I mean, my guide always talks about my YouTube channel, my journey, and throughout. And as I mentioned all the time, so it was not exactly, she didn't help me in improvising my YouTube presentation, but she did help me improvising my general talks. So that helped me overall. So those details, those nitty-gritty details help me to build more coherent content. So make the storyline flow in a nice manner. The transitions has to be smooth. So all these tactics I learned during the lab meet, and it's a true story.
Right. Yes. So now, having been a successful content creator and also a PhD, what are your plans? Like, how do you wish to take your journey in science and research forward?
So one of the aspect is I will do some amount of research, but I think one of the big challenges in the undergrad education is basically getting a good teacher. And during my undergrad education, I also faced that, okay, some teachers are really good, inspiring, but there are many other cases we don't get very good teachers for that particular portion of the syllabus, let's say. So in that case, I want to create something that would evoke the interest. So evoking the interest would be the key thing that I want to do in future. The next aspect would be kind of like a auto-driven aspect by the students itself. So once you're interested, you can do many things. So my job would be to spark that interest in students. So yeah, it would be, the channel would be there in future as well. I would be uploading more content.
Yes. Yeah. So now, from all this journey that you have learned, so it's not only just about creating content or what you have been doing specifically, but it's also about listening to your inner voice and following your dreams. Uh, so I think many of us, in general, people who are doing PhD, we give up on this. We have all these calls from the inside of doing something or the other, but again, we none of like not many of us have the courage to take it up, and then many of us leave things midway. So, what will be your message to all those people who are dreaming of things like this? Not necessarily just content creating, but something that interests them other than research. So, what will be your message to these people?
Only one word is necessary for this: explore. Without thinking much, just explore the things that you want to do. You never know, you find that other side more interesting and you build up a career on that. So that was my own philosophy as well. Like for every PhD student, it's always a question like, okay, if PhD doesn't work out, what would happen? What is the plan B? Like, so imagine like in your fourth year, the PhD is not working, and you have also aged a little bit, let's say 26 to 27. At that point of time, all of your friend group have maybe jobs, maybe stable jobs, maybe some jobs, but you won't be that settled in your life if your PhD doesn't work in that point. Even if it does, that's a completely different story, whether it would work or not. But that's why I wanted to have financial freedom, financial stability while doing the PhD. And I think by doing this content creation, one side I got mental satisfaction, one side I got support from the huge audience, and on the other hand side, I also got financial freedom. I think which is one of the things that was never taught in our PhD, like how to get your finance correct.
Right. So, I'm sure you've received a lot of response from the people you have been trying to reach out to through your content. What has been, so if you have to, if I ask you one memorable moment that you have had, like what's that best response that you got that you'll remember for the rest of your life? Is there something that that really touched you, or something from the people who have been watching your content?
So let me think about it. So we generally don't get that much hate comments. So it's a good thing that in our channel very less amount of hate comments. There are some comments regarding our accent, which I can't help. because it is heavily infiltrated with that Bengali accent. But other than that, there are generally positive comments. Okay, I got help out of it. And one of that comment that touched my heart was like, okay, I mean, this is from outside India. Somebody from USA commented, okay, my professor, you explained it in a nice manner within 10 minutes that my professor could not do for 3-hour lecture. So these kind of comments were really heart touching, and at that point of time you feel okay, kuch to kiya hai, and I think it at least it helped somebody. So now we get many of these comments, and nowadays it's a very positive kind of thing. Like every day I wake up with these comments. So first thing I do in the morning, just check my YouTube analytics and looking at these comments from worldwide, and that is pretty much positive energy, I would say, to start a day.
That's really nice. That's really good. And congratulations that you have achieved this. You have managed to achieve this. It's an incredible job that you have done. So really kudos to you for that.
It's the people. It's the people
Yes.
who watch the videos and help me out.
Right.
Oh, I forgot. So basically, I told you about this incident, but okay, something came in my mind. So due to my YouTube channel, I get invitations as a guest lecturer from many places in Mumbai, including St. Xavier's, let's say, Sophia College, many other colleges. So one lecture I was teaching in Sophia College, MSc people. So yeah, so I was just teaching in board and everything. So the MSc batch, there were like 10 of them, and they were saying, okay, I know your voice, but I can't recognize you. And then I pretended that same voice that they used to start my videos, and then they recognized my voice and tell me, okay, you are that person, we watched your video all the time, and it's glad to meet you, and all this kind of thing. So that was really fun.
Great. Yeah, that's really a touching thing. That people are remembering your voice. That's the amount of gripping content that you have made. So great job. Okay, so yeah, I think that's pretty much the questions that I had for you today, and I'm really glad that we got to hear your story. I have a very small section at the end, which is the rapid fire. I just have a couple of questions which I want you to answer quickly. Anyway, you have been very specific with your answers anyway. So, so my first
Yeah.
question is, given a chance to do a PhD again, would you do it in India or would you do it abroad?
I have seen the Indian side, so I would do it in abroad.
Okay. Okay. So now, if you have to choose a career specifically, either as a researcher or as a content creator, full time, like you can't do both, what would be the one thing that you choose?
Obviously, content creator.
Right.
Freedom,
And
huge freedom.
yes. And also, like, if not content creation, research, or academy, or anything that we know of that you're capable of doing, what is that one other thing you would take up as a career option? Some hidden talent that we don't know of.
Fine arts. So a lot of people doesn't know that I have a Sci Art profile.
Okay.
That profile talks about the journey of artists who are also researchers. That is present in the note, which is supported by the journal development. So it's already there in Google. You can search. So I also do a lot of artworks during the PhD. I mean, not the kind of artwork that I show in the channel, but real artworks. So
Right.
yeah, that could be another thing.
So now, if you have to join a lab, suppose, what would you prefer? A very big shot lab with a supervisor who's busy and doesn't have time for you, or join a newer lab where you have more time with your supervisor, but you face a lot of difficulty, getting funding and stuff. So, what is your choice of lab?
Strategically speaking, I would take the first option. I would go for a big shot lab, and the other thing I won't do because funding is a struggle. Your all experimental decisions are based on funding. So
Right.
I don't want to get into that struggle.
Right.
So
And
experiment would come from your love. You would eventually be able to design your own experiments, but in order to make them reality, you need the funds. This is a truth.
yes, that's the truth. Yes. Okay, that's all. You've done wonderfully well in the rapid fire. Congratulations, and also thank
Okay.
you so much. Thank you so much. Congratulations on your PhD, and all the best wishes to you from our entire team. Hope you keep shining and doing as great and
Yes.
even better than what you have been doing.
And
So
thanks
thank
to
you
all
so
the
much.
audience who have joined this Sunday evening and watching
Yes.
us. I hope I could contribute something to their evening.
Yes, and also I would like to tell all the people out there, if you have any questions for Arpan, I don't think many people have commented today, but if you have, please keep commenting, and I'm sure Arpan will give all the answers to your questions
Yeah, feel free
eventually.
to ask.
Yes,
Always, I would be happy to help.
right. Okay, then, thank you so much, Arpan, and and to all the other people out there, thank you for joining us tonight, and please keep showing us your love and support, and see you very soon with yet another episode. Bye
Yeah.
bye.
Bye.